This video is brought to you by TS4U IT Engineering Bootcamp.
A question was asked from the describe the AWS experience, Linux, virtualization, and container experience. How do we cover this and how important it is, and that we cover, are they good enough?
Of course, they're good enough. TS4U is providing very both specific and general answers that are related to this. As you can hear these questions right now, they're not sounding as hard, right? That's because real life, once you get used to interviews, you'll start noticing the questions aren't that hard. But again, it's all about answering intelligently. We have been giving so many questions with Docker containerization, or how to combine Docker and Kubernetes for container questions and how we can use that. We have so many questions specific to what we did with Linux and what we did with how we set up our networking or how we set up our virtualization. Again, this is why I say don't memorize, understand, because for each of these examples, you don't need to come up with very unique, distinct, random answers for all of them. Just if you read all of the Linux interview questions and you understand it, at any point for any kind of specific question, you can compose the answer. Because the truth is, for example, for containerization, there are so many great elaborate answers that were given by Shadbhai about in many different Docker situations, many different Docker or Kubernetes uses. I could use any one of those examples to answer about containerization. And another thing, they don't want answers that are too geared to a certain situation or too bookish. All questions are just about using a work. It has to be. Even if you don't give that kind of answer, they will ask you, great, but now give me a real life example, a project example. So and Shadway answers everything in like an example way. So even if you use just one Docker question, you can answer about containerization. Even if you just use one answer about a VPC, you can use it as an example for how you work with networking. Even if you use an example about how you use one Linux command, you can describe it for your Linux experience as an example, because everything has to be a real life example. It doesn't have to be too complicated, and every single one of the questions that are provided are all in example form. So we don't even have to do mental gymnastics to make the answers like a project or an example. They're already given that way. Shahidbhai has answered them that way, so it's easy. So when you're being asked to share a project experience or describe a certain thing, you can start with, oh yes, so I work with Linux a lot and this is how much I use it. And then quickly, right after that, mention one of the examples you use. It could be a simple command that, about one example that Shadbhai covers for any of the Linux questions, but it makes sense. It could be, oh, what's your experience with networking, or AWS and its VPCs, then you can just easily say, oh, this is how out on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm a 7 at AWS. I work with networking a lot. It's very important. And then you can just use one of the answers that Shahidbhai used for maybe a VPC or maybe setting an IAM role. And you can say this is, or setting up an AWS security best practices. You can just list that as your example, and that covers the question. That's all they want to know.
Got it. Yeah. No, definitely. Thank you. So we have a